Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. So in this video we'll be continuing the tutorial on the Spring Boot. In the previous video we covered the basics of Spring Boot, like what is Spring Boot, its basic definitions, everything. So in this video we'll go into deep. We'll cover the important concepts of Spring Boot, something like what is inversion of control, what is beans, what is Spring IOC container, what is application context, and then dependency injection. So these all are some of the main concepts. If we know this, we are pretty good to start our work on Spring Boot. So let's get started. So first thing we have is inversion of control. So inversion of control is nothing but a pattern or a design principle which is introduced to make classes independent. By that I mean, traditionally in a Java program we create some objects, right? We create in a class, in one class, and then use those objects in other, or the same objects, same class, right? So by this inversion of control we are making those classes independent. By that I mean, all those object creation, usage, everything is not carried by us. By that I mean, it is put or assigned, those work are assigned to something known as containers, which is Spring and nothing but Spring containers. This Spring container will take care of object creation and everything. We will discuss on detail in the later. So the Spring container takes care of the objects. Objects are nothing but beans. We'll also discuss this later. So yeah, so this approach is not only used in Spring Boot. It's used in various frameworks like .NET, Ruby on Rails, and some many frameworks use this approach. So the next one is beans. So in simple term, beans are nothing but Java objects. In Spring Boot, if we mention bean, it's nothing but a Java object. Okay. So in Java, we use Pojo classes, right? So it's nothing but beans. That's it. Bean is nothing but Java objects. That's all. We'll discuss with the practical example in coding. Okay, in later in this video. So the next one is Spring IOC container. As I discussed, so this container is responsible for everything like instantiating, creating, managing objects. Objects are nothing but beans in Spring Boot. So this container is the main core of Spring Boot, which takes care of everything regarding to beans. So in Spring Boot we have two main things for as Spring container. The first one is Bean Factory. So this is the main interface which were introduced to like do all this stuff with beans. And then we also have application context, which is also an IOC container. This is some kind of advanced container. It supports annotation based configuration, which is nothing but we can use annotations to configure the beans, and then uh, we can use that in program, and we can also use XML for configuration. I'll tell you in a more easy way. So see this diagram. Here we have this is the core of Spring Boot, basically. So here we have Pojo classes, which are nothing but objects. So the Spring container will have two containers, so we can use any one of them. Let's say let's go with application context. So first thing we'll be doing is feeding the objects to the container, and then configuring those objects by XML or annotation. Okay, we can use anything. So if we use application context, we'll be mostly using annotations for that. So Spring container will get those objects, configure them by which we specified by using annotation, and then the result will be we can fully configure beans, which is nothing but we can use the beans as we want. Okay, so this is like a pretty good example of the working internal core of Spring Boot. So this is how the beans gets created and everything. Okay, so the next one I want to tell you is dependency injection. So dependency injection is nothing but a functionality of IOC. So we use dependency injection mostly in our program. Like if you want to use one objects into another or one bean in Spring Boot we use beans. If you want to inject one bean into another bean also, we can use this dependency injection concept. I will explain you everything with a good example in a program. So let me go to the ID. So yeah, so this is a simple program. We have a main class here and then an interface. I have created an interface. So let's first see what are beans and then the application context, which is the IOC container. Let's see how it works. Okay, so let me create a class. First, I will name it as Airtel, and then I will implement the sim class, sim interface. Uh, so the interface has only one method, get status. I will just print. I'll print something like Airtel online, something like this. I'll just save it. So now, so consider this as a bean. I have not defined it, but we have to create another class for managing those beans. So I'll create another class named sim manager. Okay. So here we need to inject that bean, right? So this is what dependency injection is. So I'll just come to that later. For now, just I'm just declaring the variable, and then I will create a method public say status. So inside this, I will just call those method get status. So that's it. So I'll just save it. So bean is nothing but a Pojo class, right? So this is a Pojo, right? We have getters and setters. So there is something called component annotation in Spring, which is also a bean. Here you can see org.spring framework.stereotype. All the stereotype annotations are nothing but beans actually. So so we created a class and then we created a class for managing the beans. So this is the main class, right? So now we are gonna see what are beans and then what is Spring container. I mean in a program, how to weave the Spring container. So here you can see we have to import the application context container first. Application context, application context. So this will give us the container. We store that in an object. So let me remove this. By using this application context container, we have many methods which is used for managing the beans, as I said earlier. So here you can see get bean, get application name, and so there are so many methods. Here we are gonna use get the bean first. So we will be using the get bean. So our bean is the sim manager. So let's pick that bean by just simply saying sim manager dot class. So now we got the bean. So and also we have to store that bean somewhere. So I will just create a sim manager object, sim manager. So by using the sim manager object, I'll just call the method inside that get status which we have here. So yeah, so now we have the bean and then the IOC container. We got the bean and we are trying to call this at calling method, right? This method get status method. So let's check. If we run this program now, it must throw an error because so yeah, let's see. So here you can see, right, this dot sim is null. So this is a bean and then in a manager we have this sim, but we have not specified which bean to use. I mean which object this sim holds. So let's first try it in a Java way, I mean the traditional way. So this is a plain Pojo class. We don't have any notation here, and then this is inside this get status. We're gonna do this dot sim equals new Airtel, right? This is the way we usually use, right, to create an object instead of object. So let's run now and see whether it's working. So now it must print Airtel. So as you can see, Airtel calling is printed. So this is a normal way. So in Spring Boot, how do we use this bean Spring container to do these things automatically? We can use by simply annotating this Airtel Pojo class as component. So why I'm using component is, you can see when I hover the component, it's of stereotype. All those stereotype annotations are basically beans. So I'll just annotate with component. So this class will now act as a bean, as same as the sim manager. So inside the sim manager, I will just comment this line, and then we have to specify some way that this should hold the Airtel object, right? Airtel bean now. So in order to do that, we have to auto-wire it. Auto-wired is sub annotation which we use to wire the beans inside another bean basically. So now let's see, let's run the program whether it's working fine. Let's check. Okay, so we got the same output as before. We are not instantiating anything like this. We are just using the Spring Boot take us of all those things. So let me create another class. I'll just create another class named Geo, and I'll implement sim. Okay, I'll just implement. I'll just print something like Geo, something like this. Okay, let's save this. So now in our program we have two beans, right? One is Airtel, one is Geo. Let's make it as a bean. I'll just use component here. Okay, so we got two beans, right? I'm getting something. Okay, so now the problem is we have to tell the Spring container which bean to use, right? This AutoWare will pick all the beans inside this container. So if we run and see, it should throw an error saying we have multiple beans. Let's check it. So yeah, so we see this, right? Required a single bean, but two beans are found, Airtel and Geo. In order to fix that, we have several methods. One is by using primary annotation, and then we can also use qualifier annotation. So let's see that here I will use qualifier. um, Inside this qualifier we have to specify the bean name, but we don't have bean names here, so let's make it as by using this double quotes. We can just specify the bean name here. It's just simple. So let me use Airtel here, the same bean name. So now let's check whether we are getting the output. So now we should get this Airtel calling as output. So let's check. So yeah, we got this output as we expected. So this is how we define beans. It's not an end, we have another method, and then we also saw how to use Spring container, right? So now we move on to another step, which is defining bean in another way. Usually we use this way for defining beans. Let's create a class. I'll just name it as app config. So we have to annotate this class as configuration. Only inside the configuration we can define beans. I mean, we can use the bean annotation directly. This annotation will be only used inside the configuration class. Here we can define many number of beans as we want. Since we have two beans, right, Geo and Airtel, we can create another bean. Okay, let's create another bean. We'll just name it as Vodafone. Okay, I'll implement as mm, okay. I'll print as Vodafone. Okay, same as the two beans. I'll just save this. Now we are not gonna do anything. We are not gonna specify this is a bean here in the top of the class as component or something like that. What we are gonna do is we are gonna go to the configuration class. Inside that we are gonna private sim get Vodafone. We are gonna create a bean here. So this will return the object of the Vodafone class. Oh, sorry, new Vodafone. Okay. So here we define this Vodafone object as being here. We can name this as Vodafone, same as the component, right? We can use this double quotes and then can specify the bean name here. So now in our application we have three beans. Okay, we can have number of beans here in the configuration class. So let's use this Vodafone bean in the qualifier. Just change the name to Vodafone and it should work fine. So let's check it. Okay, we are getting some error. Get Vodafone cannot be private or fine. Okay, sorry. So where's that configuration class? I'll name it as apply and run again. Okay, here you can see, right, we got this Vodafone calling. So this is how we define beans. We use IOC container. And then the another concept which I have to discuss is dependency injection, right? So let's see. So dependency injection is nothing but we have seen it already. I mean, we have three beans in this example. We are injecting each bean as we wanted, right? So see this example in this sim manager bean. We are injecting the Vodafone bean, which is another bean as we need. We can also inject the Airtel, Geo, anything, any bean inside this another bean, sim manager bean, right? So this is the best example of dependency injection. And also there are three more ways for dependency injection. We can use this. This is one of the way. This is called as field injection, and we also have something like constructor injection. So let me show you that. Sim manager, inside the sim manager we will pass the sim object and then That's it. Okay. So let's check. I'll just remove this. I'll just comment this. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now we are going to use the constructor injection. In order to use the constructor, we have to specify, right? Here we specified qualifier, right? It's the same way. You're going to copy that and use it here. I'll just name it, change the bean. I'll use Airtel bean. So this is a constructor. It gets called whenever this it's called automatically. So if I run this program now, we should be able to see the Airtel bean. Uh, see Airtel calling. So this is one of the injection. We also have another injection, which is the setter injection. So let's see that as well. So here I will create another method, public set some manager, the same. You can just copy this and then start sim. Okay, something. Okay, I'll just comment this out. It's the same. Now we are in the setter injection, dependency injection. So let's see. Okay, I'll change this to change this as well. I will rerun this. Now we should see spelling. We should see the geo being in action. So let's see. Okay, we are getting some error. So this is because we forgot the auto while annotation. So if I run this now, so let's see. We should be able to see the geo bean. Yeah, so geo calling. So that's all for this video, guys. I think I covered most of the concepts in a simple way. I hope you liked it. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comments. Then yeah, we'll see you in the next video.